Welcome to First and 15, the only podcast that's trying to get you paid. I'm here with two-time FFPC champ AB. Alongside him is my guy, Dio the Machine. Guys, we finally did it. The Listener League is filled. We're going to have the Listener League this Sunday, August 11th. Are you guys ready?
You know I stay ready.
Are you guys ready? Dio got the first pick, too, so that's crazy.
Number one pick.
Guys, we're gonna live stream this draft, so please check in. Please watch the live stream. Yours truly will be the one leading the live stream. These guys want to keep their cards close, close to them. So hopefully they drop in during the live stream. Keep the cards close to the vest. But let's talk some NFL football right quick. AB did his rankings again. Now we're talking tight end rankings. So you going through the whole depth chart?
Yeah, went through the whole depth chart. I think we're gonna stop there. We'll see. I may do a defensive ranking here. Maybe kicker.
You gotta do defensive.
Yeah, gotta do defensive kicker. Maybe we'll see.
We'll see. Interested in that actually.
Really?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah, but the tight end rankings are out. Those will be posted at the end of the show and throughout the show.
Well, no, let's go through them now.
Okay, y'all want to go through them? Okay,
let's go through them. Kelsey's still number one?
Yeah, I know a lot of people have talked about the age and the concern for him playing or not playing as many snaps, them preserving him for the playoffs, et cetera, et cetera. I think, talking about things like that in August, I think is very difficult because if you recall last year, and they won the Super Bowl last year, and if I had to guess, I would say the Raiders were a worse team last year. I would say the Chargers were a worse team last year, given all the injuries. I would say the Broncos were a worse team last year, given all the injuries. And even with that, if you go back and look at all those divisional games, they were very, very close. Yeah. So, yes, the idea is that, sure, we can rest our best players, have them only play 50 to 60% of the snaps, keep them fresh for December, fresh for the playoffs, fresh for the championships. But that's not something that's just very easily implemented or something that you can just easily, practice throughout the year. That's why they call it any given Sunday. Any team can beat any team on any given Sunday, and we saw it last year in this division. Championship team versus teams that were not playoff teams that beat the Chiefs and gave the Chiefs, a run for their money with a lot of close games. So I think they're still going to need Kelsey, but really what I'm loving is sort of kind of this return of the vertical attack, or at least the threat of the vertical attack. Yeah. I think it's great that they have, Marquise Brown and they drafted, Xavier Worthy, and they want to push the ball. But remember, why did they stop? Why were they limited in this before, outside of the, obviously the player personnel? But even before then, teams were starting to limit them just like they're doing across the league because of the too high safeties. So I don't think teams are just going to say, oh, okay, well, you guys drafted Xavier Worthy, you picked up Marquise Brown, so we're going to stop playing too high safeties. Y'all want to air it out, we're just going to let you. No, they're probably going to be more cognizant of the idea that, hey, they got speedsters on the outside. We can't let them get behind us. And so to me, I feel like that really opens things up for Kelsey and Rashee Rice. I think a lot of people are going to get fed in this offense, but I think those two are going to see, in PPR leagues, see quite a bit of receptions. But the one kicker, and I think this is something that a lot of people don't talk about, is when you have a player with that many targets and that many receptions, they also, I think, are at a higher, have a higher incidence of scoring more touchdowns, proportionally. And I'm not a believer in that, like, okay, you have 100 targets, you should have X amount of touchdowns. Some people are just not good in the red zone. Some offense don't design players to receive red zone targets and red zone looks. But that's not the case with the Kansas City. They by far lead the league in end zone pass rate or red zone pass rate. Kelsey has been a monster in the red zone. And that's one of the areas where it doesn't matter how old you are or how much they want to preserve you. That's the money zone. So that's an area of the field where he's always going to be involved. He's always going to be on the field, and they're not going to limit him. So I really see a potential upside and a positive regression as far as his TDs, because that's where he was lacking last year. And if he can get double-digit TDs, which I really do not believe is a hard thing, he's going to easily be the number one tight end, in my opinion, anyway.
So let's go back to your rankings for a bit. Having, 2 through 7 in the same tier, Dio, what do you think about that, having so many tight ends grouped together right after Kelsey?
If I was ranking them, I actually would probably do the same thing, honestly, because It's crazy. I'd probably add Kelsey to that tier and then bump up Ferguson and
too, yeah.
Njoku into that tier. So I guess I would have a 10-man or 9-man tier.
Yeah.
Because honestly, man, these tight ends, any given week, they could just blow up.
Yeah.
I mean, remember last year, Ingram had those crazy games.
Yeah. And Njoku.
And Njoku had those crazy games. We know what Andrews can do. Kittle, we've seen him go crazy. So they have all these spikes. I think, and looking at the way Abby ranked them, I think Abby is more looking at the safest, the one that probably will average at the end of the year the most points, which I get. Kelsey for me is like the safe pick though, right? Mm-hmm. Like I feel like we've seen the ceiling from Kels.
Yeah.
I don't think we're ever gonna see I think Kelsey's greatest year has already passed him by.
Right.
And I'm not saying he's gonna have a crazy regression this year or he's gonna fall off, but when especially when you're playing a high stakes fantasy game, I'm trying to look for the guy that's gonna take that next jump.
Yeah.
Because all those guys, especially in those top 10, they're all being drafted at, I would say, their ceilings,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you got Kincaid, Laporta, Kelsey,
Mm-hmm.
I think another tight end, McBride,
McBride.
going in the
McBride.
second round or higher.
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah.
got backdoor Ingram, Andrews, and whoever else going in the third round. Like all these guys are being taken like they're gonna have smash seasons.
Mm-hmm.
If any of those guys bust, that's gonna basically screw the whole team.
Yeah.
Just for what the value you could have had if you went with somebody else. So when I look at those guys, if I'm gonna take a tight end that high,
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to get the tight end I think is gonna make that jump, right?
Yeah.
And I mean I don't know, right?
Yeah,
like I
right,
just
right.
said, tight ends have
Yep.
up and down weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But I do recall having that stat presented to us that said tight ends tend to take the biggest jump between the rookie year and the second year, right?
Yeah.
So if I would just say, okay, let me kind of put my bet on somebody, I probably would go with like the Laporta, the McBride, maybe even the Kincaid, that I'd probably rank a little bit higher.
What about Ferguson though, man? Ferguson doesn't seem to get
That's
a lot
that
of
year
love
two.
for.
It's rated 3 actually.
That's our
Ferguson
year
was a
3,
rookie
yeah.
with Schultz.
Yeah. But
I
for a
don't mind
guy
Ferguson.
who is in a pass happy offense,
Right.
Like, why doesn't Ferguson and CD isn't there? I'm not saying that CD is not going to get targets.
Well, another. Not only did we see that stat where they talked about the tight ends take the big jump between the rookie year and their second year, we also saw the stat where the tight ends that end up being the ones that blow up are the ones that end up being a top 2 option in the passing
Yep.
game, right?
Yep.
And Ferguson, to your point, is somebody that has that option.
Yeah.
Available to him. So I can see Ferguson. I can definitely see Ferguson. I think the thing this year compared to other years, everybody's just down on the Cowboys as a whole. I don't know, and maybe Abby, you can kind of share your thoughts on it, and you, Chris, as well. I don't know where I am with the Cowboys, right? Like what has changed, right? They still got the same offensive coach. They got the same exact weapons, except they lost one player in Pollard, right? And Pollard didn't even have that great of a season last year.
That's true.
So why are we so down on the Cowboys as a whole when they technically had a pretty good season last year offensively?
Yeah.
Teams like this do worry me. So
Cowboys?
I am worried about the Cowboys. I'm not necessarily worried about CD. I think he's going to get fed. But everybody else kind of does worry me.
What worries you though? Like
When
explain that
you
to
were
me.
one-dimensional and you put that on film, you put 16 weeks, 17, 18 plus weeks of that on film, defenses catch on.
Yeah.
Defenses can more easily scheme towards someone who is one-dimensional.
So you
remember?
Go ahead.
Yeah, Dallas didn't start off hot.
Okay.
I actually drafted a lot of Dak Prescott, and I kind of I employ, like, whenever I wait, I draft multiple quarterbacks because I like to play the matchups. And I remember Dak actually having a very, very tough start to the season.
Yeah,
a strength of schedule. So he sat on my bench for a period of time, and so like when he started blowing up, I was just I was close, like many people were, to dropping him, and then he went on that crazy run.
But doesn't that give you more of a reason to actually? Because didn't he finish off the season hot? So
He
you would think-
did. So to me, I am seeing an aging Brandon Cooks. Okay, maybe we get some improvement in Jake Ferguson.
I would argue that the other receivers on the team maybe be able to, produce what Cooks was producing in the past. We've heard good things about Tolbert.
That's what we're hoping, and that's what we're hoping, but that we don't know. But what really gives me pause is just the run game. I mean, we can talk up, a number of the running backs there and say they can be serviceable, or this guy can be, but really, like, to me, it's just not a threat.
Gotcha.
I mean, are you a threat in the run game? Because if you're a threat defenses have to account for that.
Okay.
Defenses are going to have, their base, whatever they're in is going to account for, or is going to basically, try and combat whatever they think the offense is best at, or whatever they think they need to prevent the offense from doing. So when you play Dallas, you know that you got to stop CD, or you got to be concerned about CD, and you got to be worried about Dak.
So let me ask you this.
Nobody's saying I want to stop Zeke Elliott.
In a second, in case people listening, like, what happened to the tight ends? But the Cowboys as a whole, I mean, are you cherry picking, right? Are you cherry picking these guys on the Cowboys? I think are going to have a good season and rank them high, but these guys are going to have a depression because CD, I'm looking at, he's a number 2 pick right now, right? Or on average, he's top 2-3 pick,
right?
But if you're telling me all these, doom and gloom with the Cowboys,
no,
shouldn't we kind of be pushing back a little bit?
I wouldn't say it's doom and gloom, but I wouldn't say that it's going to be. I don't think that they're going to, that we're looking at what their last 8 game stretch.
So do you think CD is worth his value right now?
Yes, because this is the one nice thing about the Cowboys is that they have a very narrow target tree.
Okay.
And if we see Jake Ferguson continue to take the steps, we saw that he was playing more snap, had a higher snap percentage as the year moved on. Yeah. And we continue to see that, and we can see him get up to 70+%. Snap share. Yeah. I think that's really going to make a difference. So I really like those two. I mean, CD is, he's a top 3. I like anybody in the top 3, top 4, top 5. But I really do like Jake Ferguson as well. Everyone else, I'm kind of, I think Brandon Cooks is a value, especially in best ball, because, I think, for him, unless there's a CD injury, his production is somewhat, volatile, so it's going to be tough to know when to put him in your lineup. You may put him in your lineup and you may get 2 points, and then when you sit him,
CD?
No, I'm talking about Brandon Cooks.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's really the only, and then again, if you're talking about best ball,
I'm hearing a lot of good things from those other receivers they got, man.
I love Tolbert in best ball. Best ball is all, best ball is its own thing. So you can draft whoever you want in best ball, especially in the later rounds. I'm not going to argue against it, but I'm talking about, but specifically for redraft, as far as trying to predict and know when to start someone and not to take a zero. Like, really, there's only 3 guys there in the passing game that I feel comfortable with starting on a week-to-week basis.
Surprise us.
It may be.
Week 3, we find out they're actual real threat.
I think it's going to have to, because I think teams are not just going to allow CD. They do a good job of moving him around, so he's going to get his, but there is going to be someone else that's going to have to step up. Like, you can't be one-dimensional and just have one receiving threat. Yeah. That will get taken away. They will force your hand to find another option.
So let's talk some news for a second. Let's talk about the biggest rumor that just won't go away.
Oh, wait. Before we move on, can you pull up the tight end rankings one more time?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just have one question for Abby.
Yeah.
I do not see Greg Dulcich on this list, but I do see Lucas Kroll.
Yeah.
Also, I think Cager, I know I brought Cager to y'all, but he's been hurt. We're gonna have to take him off the list.
Yes. We got to update. Actually,
but again, Dulcich. Yeah. I mean, what are your thoughts?
So this list. Obviously we unfortunately were not able to pod last week. A move and a number of different things. Yep. So this is we're gonna. I will publish the updated tight end rankings.
Okay, so updated.
Updated. Cage is obviously out. Updated Theo Johnson. I'm actually gonna move up pretty high, significantly.
I heard he's working with the ones.
Yeah, and then Kroll and Dulcich may not even make the list, because I really think it's looking like a situation where maybe a tight end by committee, and obviously they have Troutman back in there as well. So that's going to be really paying close attention to the preseason and the snap count, snap percentage.
And eventually you're going to have Kobe Parkinson instead of D. Allen on the list, but that'll take some time. I'm sure.
Maybe.
That'll take some time.
Maybe.
So, but yeah, go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
No. Like, I just want to talk about news. I want to talk about the biggest rumor that just won't go away. I think it was the original rumor. We had a source that told us that, Ayuk was going to be signed with the Steelers. We're still waiting for that to happen. We saw a bunch of tweets, the last few days about Ayuk.
So lately there's been this guy on Twitter that's been like, 10 toes down with it. Ricky is his name.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty Ricky, a lot of, maybe Pretty Ricky.
You got Pretty Ricky?
But a lot of the accounts are referring to him because I guess he's just like staying firm on his belief that Ayuk is going to be traded to Steelers. And you never know. Maybe by the time the people hear this, Ayuk is a Steeler.
Well,
so
Schefter says the Patriots just pulled out.
So the Patriots were apparently trying to get Ayuk.
Yeah.
The Browns also The Steelers, I mean, like all those teams, specifically the Browns, to me would change the complexion of like that entire team.
Yeah.
If they got Ayuk, still had Amari Cooper, still had Jerry Jeudy, and Njoku, I'd have to now. I think about Ayuk differently than y'all. I like honestly think that if he gets traded, his value diminishes to me.
Oh no, I've said that from the go. Remember we had a pod a couple weeks ago.
I was the one that said I think it would go, but I also thought he was going to a team where he was going to be the automatic alpha.
Yeah.
And they still had a serviceable like I thought he was going to the Commanders, right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like the Commanders. I mean, no disrespect to T-Mac, but I feel like he would be the best receiver on that team.
Yeah.
And Jaden Daniels, the Heisman Trophy winner, who has a relationship with him already,
Yeah.
which is going to help him kind of reach a level. So.
And I'll say this: as we are drafting, I mean, it's important to note that like I have no issues with like, and I'm literally doing it myself right now, as far as just taking the stance that he is getting traded and he's going to be gone from San Francisco. So obviously that's going to affect the players that are there, but you have to like keep in mind that like somebody may come back, or they may add somebody, or somebody may come back in the trade. So like you mentioned the Browns, there were rumors that that trade went down, then Amari would come.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes when we think about trades or we think about cuts, we just assume we pay attention to the loss, but we just completely ignore the fact that they have 53 roster spots.
Yeah.
So for every player that they lose, they can bring somebody in. And that can happen at any point during the season. That's why for a lot of these players where they just, if the eye test to me is just like, this guy is just not good, holding on to the idea that like, okay, if so-and-so player goes down, that like he's really going to get his opportunity, we completely ignore the idea and the fact that like, yes, this player may go down, but the team could just bring someone else in. This happened last year with the Cleveland Browns and with Jerome Ford, where everybody had Jerome Ford, including myself, as like one of the high-end handcuffs. If Nick Chubb goes down, Jerome Ford is gonna eat. Guess what? He did not eat.
Yeah.
They brought in old-ass Kareem Hunt, who clearly was on his last leg and who was actually injured, which is why it looked like, because he was literally on his last leg, had all-season surgery, I believe. And they gave him a lot of third down, a lot of hurry up, and they gave him a lot of goal line. And basically, Jerome Ford was basically middling. I would have just preferred not to have Jerome Ford because he gave you no upside whatsoever last year anyway.
Yeah.
So I think that's important. So when I'm thinking about the Ayuk situation, like, yes, mentally, yes, I'm still moving up Kittle, but I'm not going to go too crazy because I don't know if Amari Cooper's coming back, or I don't know if George Pickens is coming. I don't know if somebody else is coming back that's going to have a significant impact. So even with one last thing. With like a Ricky Pearsall, say the Patriots deal comes to fruition, they run it back, they work something out, and then Kendrick Bourne comes over to San Francisco. I guarantee you everyone would just ignore Kendrick Bourne, and maybe they should. But guess what? Kendrick Bourne has played in that system. And we've seen him like...
Kendrick Bourne is good.
Kendrick Bourne had a monster game in that season.
He's a good player.
So
he can stay healthy.
What will happen is good. Like he won't get drafted. Ricky Pearsall is going to get way pushed up. And one thing that we will need to pay attention to is like if Kendrick Bourne comes over and he's healthy, like is he starting? Because if he's starting, he's the player that you want, not Ricky Pearsall.
Yeah. You already mentioned Juwan Jennings.
I think his role is kind of his role. So, but
real quick, going back to your point about Jerome Ford, you do want him on your team because at the bare minimum, you're keeping away from your competitors, and he's a starting running back. You only have a few of those in the league.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking more about 2023.
Got you. But even then, there's only so
I would
many
have preferred my
opponent
opponent start a running back that's getting 12 to 13 points a game. Like I want to go up against that.
Every point counts, man.
Yeah.
If they don't got a star, they have to get kind of creative. They put some random person in that might get you 0.
Yeah.
So I prefer that.
Let's stay with the 49ers for a second.
Oh, wait. Before we go, before we change the subject, because you actually made the point I was going to say.
Yeah.
If IU gets traded to these teams, most likely a player's coming back. So Cooper in the Browns case, in the Steelers case, Pickens.
You think they're gonna bring Pickens or?
Either one.
I mean, maybe I'm assuming.
Either
right?
one is.
I would assume that's the time.
That would be kind of crazy.
Yeah, I don't think Pickens.
Every receiver you say, except for like a handful, are going to be worse than Ayuk, right?
Yeah.
Pickens is worse than Ayuk.
I don't know if
sure
Amari
about that?
Cooper is worse than
Yeah.
Ayuk though.
I don't know if I don't know.
In
You
that,
don't think
system,
Pickens-
in that system,
Man, come on,
Cooper will
man.
be worse than Ayuk. But in that system, I don't know if Pickens. I don't know if Pickens in that system is worse than Ayuk because Ayuk is not having to do too much in that system. Yes, Ayuk.
No,
is great.
okay,
That's
forget
the
the
point that
system.
I really
forget
wanted
the
to-
system, but just talent. Ayuk is more talented than
Oh
Pickens.
yeah, yeah,
man. Come
yeah,
on,
yeah,
man.
yeah. I agree with that. That's
Come on.
that's
I don't
obvious.
know. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. With Moonball Russ potentially being the quarterback, I'd rather have Pickens as opposed to Ayuk. If
And that's-
Russell Wilson is my quarterback,
Wait, if what? If Ayuk goes to the Steelers and Pickens goes to the 49ers?
who would you rather have with Russell
If
Wilson
both
as
are on
your
the both are on the Steelers,
who would you
Ayuk.
rather? No.
I wouldn't
And
want
not with
any of them.
I don't want either of them.
Yeah.
But out of the two, I'm taking Ayuk. I just think Ayuk just had, he's one of the best route runners in the league.
Well,
super talented player.
Yeah. Let's stick with the 49ers for a second because we just got some information that C-Mac is going to be out for the entire preseason. It looks like they're going to rest
you got the
him
first.
up.
Oh
got
yeah,
the first pick.
Yeah,
of the
you
draft.
buried
Yeah.
the lead.
What am I going to
You buried
do?
the lead. Dale has the first pick in the first inaugural, first
In
and
the
15
listener draft.
Listener draft.
Got the first pick, and this is
Oh.
the news that comes out.
And we've gotten a lot of positive feet, or basically a lot
Interest.
of interest. Yeah,
Interest in the
as
second
far
league.
as far as people wanting to join the listener league. So there may be a second. So if you are interested, go
Definitely
ahead
hit
and
us up.
continue to reach.
Send
reach
us
out.
your emails,
Yes.
Yeah, send us the
and I'll get
emails.
something out to you. I guess we could pull off a second one.
Yeah.
It depends. Send us your emails, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So since you are the number one pick, how do
I'm
you
not
feel
telling
about
you nothing. Oh,
how do you feel about it?
Why does it matter?
So yeah, it don't
got the
matter.
pick. If
It
you
don't
take it or you
matter.
don't.
It don't matter because I don't even know how I feel about CD right now. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
that's why I kind of want to have the discussion. But this is concerning, right? First off,
Man, a calf injury is not
exactly it's a calf
for a running
injury,
back.
a running back, and I think he's had calf injuries in the past. It's one of those things
Yeah.
where he hasn't produced
Yeah.
the same way he has in the past.
Actually, didn't he have a calf injury heading into the
I thought it was
Super
a
Bowl?
hamstring.
No, I think it was a
Heading to the Super Bowl.
towards
He's
the back
had
end, or the
he's had a
playoffs.
calf injury before where it was like, man, I need you, just play. He played, but he just didn't give you that
Yeah.
C-Mac type performance. Again, it's a running back. It's a number one pick. I will say this: he has a long time. He has 3-4 weeks to heal up.
Yeah.
And they said he's going to be out of practice. I saw he did an interview today with NFL Network.
Yeah.
They're talking about the Brandon Ayuk situation. So, obviously he's around. So he's not just constantly rehabbing type thing. I don't know, man. I don't know. C-Mac is that player, right? Out of every player,
I told y'all we started off the season talking about this.
out of every player in fantasy football, C-Mac is like the one where it's like he's so automatic every single, not just automatic,
Yeah.
but he gives you these big weeks.
It's an advantage.
It's like the AB from years in the past, right?
Yeah.
LaDainian
So-
Tomlinson light.
It's like, okay, are you really, if you have the number one pick, and I know people are taking CD, maybe even Brees and Bijan number one. Like, I know it happens. But for the people that are like level-headed with it, right?
What does that mean? I feel like you're throwing
Level-headed,
shots.
I got the number one
As
pick.
low-key shot. That's low-key
The
shot.
people that are level-headed
Love
with it,
those.
right? Are they gonna now start saying, "Man, I'm concerned with this injury, and I'm just gonna pass on the fact I can have that type of because remember, and we haven't really said this much on the pod. You're not playing for week 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
You're really paying for the full season / playoff time.
Yeah.
/ championship tournament
but
time.
you gotta
right?
make it to the
But you
playoffs.
got to make it there,
gotta
right?
get there.
So you
You
got to
gotta
make
get
it there.
there.
So I don't know. I'm torn on it. Obviously, I want to kind of hear some more about it.
Yeah.
If I do take C-Mac, I am prioritizing. Personally, I'm actually prioritizing Jordan Mason, and we can have that discussion. if y'all
we
wanna have
can
that
because
discussion.
I got so much Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah.
Over Elijah
so-
Mitchell? That's what I was going to say. Over
Yeah,
Elijah
yeah. But you remember, we used to be fans of Jordan Mason.
Yeah.
He just wasn't getting the work
Yeah.
like we were hoping. Now it sounds like he might be getting the work. So I would definitely prioritize that. But I don't know what I'm going to do with the number one pick right now. I mean, it's we still got some.
Elijah
depth.
Mitchell hurt himself.
Yeah, that's true.
What do you mean he hurt himself?
He got a hamstring.
Oh, he's hurt right now.
He's hurt right now.
He's hurt.
He's hurt right now.
Dang.
By
Well,
the way,
Yeah.
C-Mac did have a calf injury week 17.
Yeah. Yeah.
Last year?
Yeah, last year. So,
what did he do last year? He probably still gave you like 30.
Well, they had a
he
bye.
still
They had a
ball.
bye.
Oh yeah, but they did have the first round bye, and then
So he didn't
No, he
play.
said
He
week
didn't play.
17.
He didn't play week 17, and then they had a bye.
Oh, okay. But then when he came back in the playoffs, I think he still smashed.
oh, yeah, I think
Yeah. He smashed in the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, we got, like I said, we got 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. He's gonna be rested up.
Yeah. Another first round fantasy pick, Puka. is also injured. Looks like he's going to be out for the entire preseason as well. They're hoping to get him back by week 1.
This one's big, man.
This one is big.
Yeah.
Hear me out on this.
Why is this one big?
Because the reason why I think Puka had the season that he had last year is that Cooper Kupp got injured during the preseason.
Okay.
And McVay had to pivot. And so when he had to pivot, like he was essentially scheming Puka open, and they structured.
Come on now.
I'm
Put
telling
some
you.
respect on Puka.
No, I think no. I'm not saying that he's not good. The same way that I think Cooper Kupp is good, right? But Cooper Kupp was schemed open, and so I just think that with him being out, I'm telling you, man, like I'm down on Puka now. Like McVay likes to scheme around guys who he can see. Who's there?
Like from someone I'm gonna bring it up again. Yeah, pat myself on the back. 47% shares of Puka.
Yeah.
In redraft. Yeah. So I had tons of Puka last year. I think I have like 2% Puka this year. I'm just not drafting him in the first round. They're just other guys. I'd way much rather have AJ Brown. Would definitely rather have Garrett Wilson. And they're just, to me, a lot of easier pivots. But second round, I'll take them. Yeah. So I'll buy the dip. It's just Sean Payton McVay came out today and said it was just like a bursitis basically. So it's
what
not.
Is that
there was no
structure. I don't know what that is.
Knee behind the knee.
So there's no structural injury. There's no ligament injury. There's nothing that requires surgery. It's basically just inflammation in the knee. You have like a burst or something. I'm not getting into all this, man. Yeah. Ask one of the orthos or the PT doctors.
Open a book.
I'm clavicle up.
Read to achieve.
Yeah. But basically something that should not cause him any issues long term. So basically, hold him out for precautions. There's no structural injury. So I'm gonna buy the dip. How this is gonna play out, I don't know. I just cannot get in my mind what I saw last year from Cooper Kupp. I can't get that out of my mind. I don't care if he was hurt. Like, he looked old, man, and this man is like 31, 32, and his body has been through a lot.
31, 32. What the hell?
Yeah,
Cooper Kupp is 31,
He's
32
31.
years.
I thought he's like 29.
Cooper Kupp is old. He's 30 plus. And he has been through a lot. Like, he's been hit a lot. He's been through a lot. Remember, he plays a slot. Like, he has been through a lot. He has played a lot of snaps. He's been hurt a lot. So
just turned 31.
Yeah. Look, could it work out? 100%. But if you're Sean McVay, are you saying that like you see Puka and you see Cooper Kupp? Like, how are you scheming your offense? Both are gonna get fed. If they can, but who am I giving the high value touches to? Who do I think can break away? Who do I think can make plays?
Historic season.
I might give
he
it
has one season where he's injured.
So
and then
wait.
all of a sudden, that's just it.
One season when he's injured? No, he didn't have one season. He's had two seasons
one down
back to back,
season.
and he's 31.
But it wasn't. All right. So are we going to say say the same thing?
Okay,
about
I just this sounded very reminiscent of the what's his name, Robinson, Allen Robinson. Remember that? That summer?
Yeah.
Everybody tried to sell me on Allen, and then eventually I was like, all right, let me. I was like,
that's a little different, man. Come on, man. We're talking about
Allen Robinson looked toast.
We're talking about one of the greatest wide receiver seasons ever.
Yeah,
if not the greatest.
That was a while ago, man.
It's 2 years ago.
Allen Robinson, had a dominant season too.
No, he didn't. Anyway, so real quick, let me speak on a couple things. Number one, I think y'all both disrespecting Puka right now. I think he is worthy of that first round pick. First of all, he's young. He did what he did his rookie year. First off,
exactly.
We're not talking about somebody that 3 years, 4 years. That he did something that a veteran type of season would be a great season. He did this coming out the gate, which means he's going to get better. He's going to learn. He's obviously going to strengthen. He's in the same system. He's going to strengthen the things that he was lacking. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, he worked on his body. Pause. So all that stuff, and then he builds rapport with the same quarterback, right?
Yeah.
Don't forget, the Rams are one of the most pass-happy teams in the league. Even when they run, they're still pass, and they move fast. They have a lot of plays. Yeah. McVay, one of the greatest offensive minds in the game, right? Yep. All these things are in place. Again, if Puka did what he did last year, he should be going higher than what he's going now, in my opinion. If he did exactly what he did last year. I think his regression has already been baked in. Now, with that being said.
You think it's baked in by being at the back end first?
A lot of what he did last year was when Kupp was out.
But he still produced a fair amount even when Kupp came back.
He did.
Kupp produced too, but Puka never stopped. Yeah. And even in the playoffs, he did his thing. But with that being said, when I said I think it's big news not so much of what's happening, but more so what it does to drafts, right? Puka was being taken in the back end of the first. Now he's going to be taken probably in the second round. Cup was being taken
mid-second in the main event.
Cup was being taken like mid-fourth up to third. Now Cup might go to the early third. If this injury lingers, we might hear Cup going in the second.
No. I'm seeing a lot of Cooper Kupp at the 2-3 turn. In fact, in the main event tonight, I think he went at the 2-3 turn.
That's what I'm saying. So what it did is, see, to kind of, to compare to what we just talked about, C-Mac.
Yeah.
C-Mac news, what's going to happen? He might drop a point or two, right?
Yeah.
2 or 3 spots.
Yeah.
I don't see C-Mac going lower than 103 right now.
Yeah.
No matter what, right? But this news with Puka, it literally shifts the whole board. It shifts 2 people. It makes one person go down, one person go up. And I think that's major news because now, okay, when you get in drafts, and if you do take Puka, right, you're taking Puka in the second while you had all these other teams that have been in the tournament already have him in the first.
Yep.
So the value shifts.
That's exactly why I'm taking him now.
Right. Yeah. So, but then again, Cup is like, damn, now the value for Cup is dropped. Because now Cup, you have to get higher than what you're getting before. So it's a catch-22. If Puka ends up having a smash season, then the people drafting him now are winning, right? Yeah. If Cup has a smash season, the people that are drafting him before are winning. So
and what you're saying is like how you have to play it. It is so easy, and because I do it too as well. And sometimes it's warranted. Like sometimes the hype, you better jump on. ADP jumps 2 rounds, you better still go after it and smash it.
Hurry up before it jumps some more.
Exactly.
Buy high.
Buy high. But a lot of times you really do have to train your mind that like in the midst of bad news when these ADPs drop, unless it's just something significant, but something like the Puka news, like if you have any inkling that okay, maybe he is for real, take the dip. Take the mid-second round dip. This is your chance. You faded him the whole offseason. Yeah. This is your chance. This is why I was drafting. This is when we had that IU trade discussions like 3 or 4 weeks ago. That's why that talk was so important because what did I do? I was like, I'm smashing as much Debo as I can. I said we should probably be getting as much Kittle as we can at that time because guess what's going to happen if IU actually does get traded? Yeah. They were already being drafted pretty much at their floor. Yeah. They weren't going to go. They weren't getting any lower than that. But they all had the potential to rise. So I think there are a lot of players like that have the potential to rise, but especially when the bad news comes out, like, man, just buy the dip. One last thing. A little cheat code for those who are actually still listening. Some people just listen here, there. For those who are listening.
What the hell? They listening? They listening?
Hey, look. I don't know. Sometimes I turn it on. I'm like, or I listen to everything in double speed because I get through so much. Yeah. So if I, it's kind of like when you got a TV on in the background, I have a pod on in the background.
Yeah.
So like sometimes I may not hear something, or I go back and rewind if it seems.
Go ahead, man. Tell us.
Okay, yeah. Anyway,
they definitely fast forward that part.
Cheat code. Because from someone who had a lot of Puka last year and who watched a lot of Rams games because I had a lot of Kyron as well. Puka, man, he's one of those players that will fall down and then he'll get up and be like, almost every play you're looking at him like, man, please don't be hurt.
I remember him going out the game a couple times too.
A lot.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy to that point. I saw a tweet and I don't know who to credit. I don't care, right? Yeah. But I saw a tweet where somebody said in college, like he did have a lot of concerns as far as having lower extremity injuries. Yeah. Like in college.
He looks like the type.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a soft tissue, but lower extremity. Yeah. And that's why he didn't have like blow up seasons. Yeah. Because he always was having like injury concerns.
Yeah. So you got that kind of, and obviously he's already got the bursitis. And then you have Cooper Kupp's injury, right? This to me is one of the best wide receiver handcuff positions and a guy that can have standalone value, DeMarcus Robinson. Anytime I draft Puka Nacua, and I don't have a lot of Kupp, I'm drafting Kupp, I'm gonna make it a point to draft DeMarcus Robinson. Yeah. Because even off the limited sample size of last year, when both were healthy, he had some very, very productive games. They re-signed him this year. There's actually been quite a bit of news of him like really looking good in camp. And he is super cheap. Yeah. He is so cheap in all formats, like whether it's a handcuff or just standalone, like DeMarcus Robinson. But especially if you draft one of those guys, like that's an easy plug and play. Like, okay, this guy's out because their defense is going to be worse. They lost Aaron Donald. Okay, their defense is going to be worse. So they may be in some
Travion White.
I mean, come on, man. Come on.
Come on now.
All right. Let's talk about the hype train a little bit. There have been a few players who, I mean, this week, I can't stop hearing about Neighbors, whether he's in a fight or just, seeing clips of him, with ridiculous catches. Are you guys buying the hype train with Neighbors? Do you think, like, Daniel Jones can really, like, create a receiver?
That's one of those hype trains you better jump on. Like, get on that hype train. I don't care where he was to start the season. Like, it does not matter. Don't think like that. Not with Malik Neighbors. Not with players like. At least this is my personal view. Yeah. So yes, he was going in the fourth round, like for quite a while throughout most of the summer. Yeah. Okay. Because I remember we would have discussions, and even at that, you're always thinking kind of in that mindset at that time. Because I remember I floated around. I was like, man, it's like, should I take Malik Neighbors here? It's like the 4'11", 4'12". Like, is it worth taking them here? Now I would kill to have Malik Neighbors at the 4'11", 4'12". Yeah. But he's gonna live in the second round. You can guarantee he's gonna live in the second round. So like
second round,
he is going to live in the second round. He's going to the second round.
I don't know about that.
See, that's where he's gonna be.
My issue with Neighbors, I just don't think he's on a good team, right? Yeah. So if he's not on a good team, I feel like his scoring opportunities are limited.
Yep.
Like, he might be super talented, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I think he is. I've been a fan of him since college.
Yeah.
But are the Giants gonna blow up? Right?
I don't know.
If they do blow up, then he has to have a historic season, which is possible, of course. He could have one of the greatest wide receiver seasons ever. Like, I'm not putting it past any player.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't, if he just has a good rookie season with Daniel Jones as quarterback, with the Giants team that's not expected to win many games, right? Like, and with like not many other threats on the field with them, so he's still a rookie. Like, we're seeing a lot of, like, I think all the clips we've been seeing have been a bunch of one-on-ones.
Right.
Or maybe even team play, but it's still one player covering him.
But
like, if teams really just dedicate to just stopping this one guy, I mean, he's not the tallest.
Yeah.
He's very fast, and he can, he can catch competitive. He almost has this like Des Bryant type game a little bit to him. But if they really just dedicate resources to covering him, like, then what? Right? Like, what if they treat him like they did Barkley? Barkley, a super talented running back.
Barkley's a running back, though.
I'm just saying, like, having that one weapon where teams are just like, we're going to focus on stopping him.
This is kind of where I would lean on Davo. The Giants are hard because they've had so many injuries across the board. O-line, quarterback, wide receiver. So, it's hard to, know, what this team is.
Right.
Remember 2 years ago, they were in the playoffs. Right, so
that was fluky.
Daniel Jones is like, I saw, I think he was like, I think Daniel Jones is like scrambling. I think I saw a clip of him like scrambling, at a practice. So coming off the ACL, like if he's out there scrambling like in a practice, to me the knee is pretty good, and he's pretty much been taking all the first team snaps. So
I'm a fan of Neighbors, but once you said second, then I start thinking, okay, what other players are going in second?
That's the thing, but
it's like I would pass on to pick him, and I don't think there's many players there that I mean, that's the range Kupp is going in, right? Or Kupp is not even going in second yet.
I would definitely take Neighbors over Kupp. You would say Kupp over Neighbors? Look. There's a lot of players in the second round that you typically don't like. You're not a huge fan of London. London goes in the second round.
I would take London over Neighbors, though.
Chris Olave goes in the second round.
I take Olave.
So he usually goes right after those guys.
But you know how I feel about Olave, man. Right? I don't know what to do with
I really like Olave.
But I would definitely take Nico over Neighbors.
You would take Nico over Neighbors?
Yeah, because I like the offenses. That's what it is. Like.
Yeah, but the competition, though.
Yeah, and again, that's more so, okay. You're right. If I was a true believer, because there's people that believe Nico is wide receiver 1.
Yeah.
So if I'm drafting Nico, I'm drafting because I believe he's wide receiver 1.
Yeah.
And if I believe he's wide receiver 1, like a lot of people believe, I would take him over Neighbors.
Okay.
I don't know if that's making sense. It's kind of contradictory, but the players like that, I would want over Neighbors. And again, we're talking about second round. Third round is what I feel like is the perfect place for Neighbors.
It's all one big tier, though. It's all one big tier.
Yeah.
But. Shoot, man, I don't know. I feel like he needs to be in the second round.
So it sounds like you're taking him over Olave and London?
Now I have to. Before
really?
I've been trying to play this game where
you
like
really hyped up on him then, bro. You really hyped up. You taking him next to Marvin Harrison then? Yeah. Because Marvin Harrison's going in like the early second to mid.
No. I'm not currently taking him that high. Right now, I'm playing the waiting game. His ADP right now is not in the mid second, but I think it is getting there. I think it is going to get there.
I mean, I can see that. You know how hype works. So
I'm going to play the game of saying, can I get the third round share?
Well, my question to you: when he does get to the second, are you still tapping?
Oh yeah, absolutely. If I look at my ownership percentage, I'm like, damn.
So
I'm a
he
little
could
bit
end
low
up
on
being
Neighbors.
your wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2 on your team.
Would not be. I would.
Wouldn't hesitate?
Yeah, because I think there are a lot of outs. You've already talked about the athleticism. A lot of people had him. Not a lot, but a number of people had him as the number 1 or 1B. You know, obviously in the draft class. So the talent's there. And then if we look at Daboll and we, I don't want to say trust in Daboll, but we've seen what Daboll has been able to do in the past. You know, obviously with Diggs and other
You're
guys.
talking many moons ago.
But we've seen what he's able to do. But the idea of like just being able to, put out an offense or construct an offense, orchestrate an offense that is productive and that is creative, where you have motion, you have guys moving around. Because I've heard that they're just moving them around all over the place. And that spans back like three years ago from the pod. If I hear that, they're moving this guy around.
So let me ask you, okay, last question.
That's a huge plus. That's a huge plus.
So last question.
Plus.
Do you think if you draft him the second, you draft him at his ceiling, or do you think he still can outproduce his draft position even in the second?
His ceiling is top 3, top 4 wide receiver. Because if he has a 35% target share and he breaks a couple of long runs, he gets like 7 to 8 TDs, he can get there. And guess what?
Who's your top 3 wide receivers right now?
My top 3?
Yeah. CD?
No. Tyreek Hill. CD.
I'm not saying order, so CD.
Tyreek Hill,
who's your third?
CD. Maybe Jefferson.
So you think he can get into that tier? Because you said he could be top 3.
No,
so you got Jefferson over Chase and Amon-Ra?
It's all the same tier.
I'm saying that you say you can see him being in the top 3 or top 4. So you say you can see him next to them?
I can see him being around. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's high praise. That's high praise.
Yeah, it is.
I mean,
it's not high praise.
So you think his potential is higher than Harrison?
What's his target competition? If you're moving him around so that he's just not in one place, you're not just having him play the X and run down on the boundaries, but you putting him in the slot, you putting him in the backfield. Offenses are so creative. We saw what Miami and San Francisco and all these teams were doing last year with like this motion and like the way they were like moving their receivers pre-snap. There are a lot of different things that you can do, and when you have an explosive guy like that, and to me, Daniel Jones, this is a first, second, third read offense. Where like, let me look at my first read, let me look at my second read, and they implement some RPO too as well. That first read is almost always going to be Malik Neighbors.
So people drafting in our draft this weekend, remember Abby wants Neighbors.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna take Neighbors.
Snipe him on. You gonna take him where?
I'm gonna take him in the second round.
He's taking him in the second round. There you have it, folks.
All right,
there you have it.
You got it.
Yeah,
you got it.
Just because.
You got it.
No, let me not do that. I'm not trying to drop up his ADP.
And let's talk about Jameson Williams for a second because he's getting a lot of love lately. Do we think that he can make that leap and finally be like the Alabama Jameson Williams that like we remember, like explosive, catch anything, like durable, right? Like, do we think Jameson Williams is worth the hype?
Man, that's a tough one because there were times last year where Josh Reynolds was productive, and they had other random players productive. Detroit's tough because they have such an elite O-line that they can do a lot of different things. And they have a very, very good offensive coordinator, obviously. And they have good running backs.
And they have a good tight end.
And they have a good tight end. So they can do almost anything. So in best ball, yeah, maybe, you take a stab because, he has a potential to just be super explosive. He can take an end around to the house.
Right.
Like with ease. So I think, we're going to see some, 3 or 4 games where he's just putting up 20-plus points, especially given, all the positive reports coming out of camp that he just seems to be, like, mentally there, seems to be, like, sort of kind of overcoming that hurdle.
Maturing a bit.
Yeah. Now, I've always thought he was limited. I never really understood the Jameson Williams.
You thought he was limited?
Yeah, I just thought he was just sort of kind of a deep route type guy, a post guy. I didn't think he was like this amazing wide receiver.
No, I think he can do it all.
Yeah, I don't know. So, but you got Amon-Ra there, and they just paid him. You have Sam Laporta there. You have Jamar Gibbs, who they're talking about, including him a little bit more in the passing game. We'll see what happens with that. But again, you can run the ball. Now, they play apparently a lot of games indoors, on turf. So, like, that's huge.
Could be a track meet.
Yeah, ultimately, it's just going to kind of come down to, like, how often is he schemed open in the offense?
So,
and how much do they utilize him?
So first off, the first issue I have with them, right? And just full disclosure, I don't have much Jameson Williams. Yeah. Matter of fact, I might not have any Jameson Williams. Yeah. Like maybe one share. Yeah. And I'm not gonna tell you how many teams I got, but the first issue is I don't think he is going to be top 3 in targets. Right? Yeah. I think he's going to be below Amon, below Laporta, and I think this just be a wild card like Gibbs or somebody or another receiver, you know? So, I mean, maybe he's top 3, but I can't even guarantee that. So now you're talking about, you know, having high hopes for somebody that is going to be the 3rd or 4th read. And on top of that, and, you know, I might just be making this up, but for some reason I have this feeling where if the Lions are, like, if they're, like, leading in a game, instead of them just, like, passing and, like, you know, just, like, putting their foot on somebody's neck, I feel like they're just going to run the ball, like grind it out. So if they're winning a game, it limits his potential because they're not utilizing him as much anymore. You know, I do think every time I'm seeing him as a Lion. Now I agree. In Alabama, I feel like he was a complete receiver. I think he won the Heisman, right?
No,
he did not win the Heisman, man.
He did.
He did not win the Heisman.
He didn't win. For some reason, I thought he won the Heisman.
I thought I was tripping. I was like, did he win the Heisman?
Yeah, but anyway, but I remember he had a very, very big productive season, right? And the injuries what really dropped his draft status. But I feel like every time I see him as a Lion, they've only been using him as a deep threat. Yeah. And like you were saying, end around.
Gadget plays.
Right, gadget. I haven't seen him just run like real routes, you know, like that Ayuk type stuff.
I don't know if he can.
Exactly. Or even if he can, I don't know if they're going to use him that way. Yeah. They might just literally say, you're our take the top off the ceiling type player. And if that's the case, I mean, then it becomes boom and bust, which means you don't know, you can't trust when to put him in your lineup, which will suck. So, I mean, there's just too many concerns I have with it. Jameson has to be one of those players that have to see it first, which means I'm going to miss out on the boat. But, I mean, it's fine. It's fine. I feel like there's a lot of other receivers around that range, including Romeo Doubs, who I would probably prefer over Jameson.
I was literally just pulling up the Green Bay Packers depth chart.
Perfect segue.
Yeah, perfect segue. Because I don't know what to do with this receiver.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't know what to do with it. I mean, like, we talk about Romeo Doubs. Obviously, Jayden Reed.
Yeah.
I mean, we love that, you know, Jordan Love just got paid, but they just have, I mean, where have we given love to Bo Melton? Yeah. I mean, like, what are you doing with this receiver?
So,
Christian Watson still there?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple things with this receiver room. One, I would not be, like, drafting any of these guys assuming that, like, they're either just going to break out and be, like, a number 1 wide receiver. I know a lot of people are on Christian Watson. Hey, maybe it may work out. Who knows? But I would not approach it that way. I think this is going to be a week to week, like, you know, 1 week it may be this guy, 1 week it may be this guy. I think the offense is going to be spread around, just like the way that this offense is run with the play action pass and the creative plays and the misdirection. I mean, you just see guys just running wide open, very Shanahan-esque. Like, he does an excellent job of running this offense. So I think, like, you know, you just got to be careful. I still do think that you want to draft these players. Okay, we saw multiple times last year, even a Dontavian Wicks, who I started in main events, tournament week, and he produced and would have continued to produce if he didn't get hurt as well. You still want to draft these players. We live in a day and age where, like, there are just so many viable options, and sometimes, yes, there are offenses like this where, like, it's not a narrow target tree and things get spread around, but as Dale always says, it's a game of attrition. And if 1 or 2 guys goes down, those other guys start to see an increased target share. But the other thing that we have that's starting to become a lot more prevalent in fantasy football is people are getting a lot better at, from an analytical standpoint, as far as what players do better in what type of cover shells. Okay, and there are multiple websites out there that do it. A lot of people do a great job. Fantasy Points, shout out to them. Shout out to Scott Barrett. They have I think a great data suite where they actually chart it. You know, and that's manual, so, you know, take that, you know, for what it's worth. But having somebody chart that and then, and run the numbers on that to see, like, okay, who does good against, one man high safety, who does good against press coverage, who does good against man coverage, who does good against zone coverage, those things can, like, really be the difference makers, because I will utilize that a lot. It's a lot more, like, complex now than just, like, wide receiver cornerback matchups. Like the game has just evolved to where like, a lot of cornerbacks just aren't traveling the way they used to. So like a lot of that data has just like become like very irrelevant. But there are certain wide receivers who just dominate in zone or dominate certain coverages. So knowing that data, you can then have those guys on your bench when they need to be on your bench, and then you can put those guys in the starting lineup when you need to put them in your starting lineup, if it's predictable, if it works out. But those guys are going to have weeks where they go off. And so if you can kind of start them at the right time, it may provide you the edge that you need.
So for me, I've been paying attention to their snaps, like maybe not their snap counts, but more so what teams they're playing with and how many reps they're getting from practice reports. Like I'm paying real close attention to practice reports right now. And like I said last time we recorded, the main focus I have is what specialty groups are out there, with the first team, second team. That's really all I'm paying attention to. And every time I look at the Packers numbers, and I think they had a scrimmage like a couple of days ago, but now when I look at their numbers, it's like a clear 3 receivers that they're using mostly with their first team. It's a clear 3, right? It's not even like they're just rotating like crazy. But I'm clearly seeing the 3 as being Dobbs, Reed, and Watson. So what that does now for me, it actually simplifies things a lot because, we were high on Wicks. I was high on Melton. And, they even have like Malik Heath or something like that. But if I know, okay, those are 3 I'm now looking through, right? Then it's like, okay, let's see, who do I like out of those 3? Reed is for me, is like a small gadget type player. Like he's not like an outside receiver. And I don't really like those type of players unless they go crazy. Like it took me a while to like really accept Amon-Ra as a guy, but I'm there now. But he was the type of, prototype I wasn't a fan of. So I'm not gonna kind of put my chips in Reed. So now I'm looking at Dobbs and Watson. I feel like it's a 50-50 proposition. Of course, all the practice reports talking about how great Dobbs has been playing. Jair Alexander said the 2 best receivers in the NFL are Devontae Adams number 1 and Dobbs number 2. So that obviously is out there. But I'm kind of going after either of those guys. And the great thing about those players, really all the players for the Packers receivers, is they're all super late. Like we're not even talking about using premium picks to make your bet. When you talk about the Texans wide receivers, you're using a premium pick. If you want Diggs, Tank, or Nico, you have to literally say, I'm betting on this guy being an integral part of this offense or producing a lot. You can take literally all the Packers receivers after the double-digit rounds, and Love, so you can have that whole offense. And personally, I do think that offense as a whole is underrated because of the ambiguity. Like, I think if we knew, I think if we just eliminated Wicks, right? Just eliminate him, right? I think all the other guys' ADPs are going to jump up a fair amount. Even if we just kind of push down Reed a little bit. I think Watson and Dobbs' ADP will raise up.
They have been. I mean, Watson is now going, I think, probably 8th round.
Even that, I think, should go high. Because I guess what I'm saying is I feel like Watson will be drafted as a starting receiver, which, for me, people draft their starting receivers in the top 6 rounds. Whether you want to have 4 or you want to have 2. You draft them by the top 6. So when you're in the 8th round, at that point, you're not taking depth. And I would love to have a player like Watson as depth.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's what I said. I mean, I really just – Reed has been – I don't have any shares of Reed because when I – through a lot of the offseason, he was going in the 6th round. I just 6th round. He was going in the 6th round, and I just couldn't do it. So even now, I think he probably goes in the 7th round. He's like one of those guys that's kind of like out of sight, out of mind. I just don't even like really pay attention because he goes so early, and I just like know I'm not drafting him there.
So people think Reed is the number 1. Is that what you're telling me?
I think they were thinking that, but
I think a lot of people think that.
Reed is the number
just because Christian Watson, you had the bad taste in the mouth from Christian Watson injuries, and then
no one
wanted to believe in Dobbs. But he was just sitting there free, and then Wicks was going ahead.
His numbers ugly.
87.
Like, what are you doing? That's such a number, bro.
Do we know who the handcuff running back is for Green Bay? I mean, like people are drafting Marshawn Lloyd as if he's the as if he's the handcuff.
I'm betting on talent. We know A.J. Dillon, bro.
A.J. Dillon.
Nobody, like, even if Jacobs got hurt today.
Oh, come on, man.
Nobody's going to be happy putting A.J. Dillon in their lineup.
In the best shape of his life, he looks better than he ever has.
Who? Dillon?
Dillon, yeah.
Whatever guy starts saying,
reports.
I'm in the best shape of my life. It's time,
man.
But yeah, so like no AJ Dillon.
I'm betting on the talent. Like, he's starting off slow, and we can have like flashbacks to how Kendrick Miller was last year, where he started off super slow. But it just might be a thing where, I mean, we've also seen rookies where, after a few weeks, they finally start to get burned, right? And we're talking about a handcuff. We're talking about somebody we don't expect to get burned week one anyway, without injury. So let's see what happens. He's one of those people where if you bet on the talent is that good, he can supersede his value. While Dylan, even if he gets the role, he's probably not going to give you much than what you're drafting for anyway. So it's like...
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's our show for the
week.
I
got a few players I want to talk about.
All right, good.
A few players I want to talk about.
All right.
Actually, type these out.
Some sleepers?
Oh, man,
when he goes to type it out.
I didn't want to forget about these guys, right?
He's serious.
And I'm not going to dive too, and if you want to speak on it, you can. I'm not going to get too in-depth. And I'm a dynasty guy, so a lot of these can be dynasty guys.
Oh, so none of these guys
The big thing with dynasty guys, though, is, again, if you're in dynasty, keep them on your radar. Maybe you pick them up if you have the roster space.
Yeah.
But it helps you with redraft because, like, okay, now when the name pops up during the season, you're familiar with them. Yeah. Now it's to somebody that maybe is a talent to some extent, or somebody you should just ignore. So a few players, right? And these might be left field, so don't go off on me too much.
All right, good.
I'm gonna start off with one that's I'm a little like I honestly don't even want to start off with him, but I'm gonna say him anyway. Kevin Harris for the Patriots. Okay, running back. He's a running back. Oh, y'all don't even know who he is.
He's been in the league is he a rookie?
No, he's in a few years.
Yeah, he's been like
a few years. But Ramondre Stevenson, I don't think Gibson is going to be the Stevenson handcuff.
Man, Gibson sucks.
Yeah, I think Gibson is like the Eckler role. Yeah, like the passing down back. Yeah. So if Stevenson goes down, I think Harris is the guy. Harris is actually pretty good. He just needs opportunity, which he hasn't had. But if he gets the opportunity, he's a good option.
Yeah, that was left field.
Yeah. Casey Washington, like I said last week, the Falcons. He still is not getting as many first-team reps as I want, but people like him there. He's building rapport with Penix. And the crazy thing is once Penix eventually gets that job, which that can happen any moment, they're most likely going to use the players he's familiar with. Like I've seen it a lot. So Casey Washington.
And Ray McLeod is the third, is a wide receiver 3 right now. So it's not like he has like
over
this
Rondell.
stiff competition ahead of him.
Exactly. Andrei Iosivas for the Bengals.
Not buying it.
You're not buying it?
You gotta buy it. I held him on my dynasty team. I picked him up before the season, but we had to talk before. It's ride or die Jermaine Burton.
You right? Okay.
I'm right.
No, I'm with you with that. Yeah. I'm with you. We riding with Burton.
But we'll keep him in the back of the mind.
Put the name out there.
Like he did have moments last year. I think he can.
And he's getting the reps right now. Burns just came back from injury, in and out, and Chase is hurt.
Yeah.
Don't sleep on him. Again, this is his second year, so he's going into the second year. That's where he had the biggest jump, right? Royce Freeman for the Cowboys. I think that's intriguing, right? Because Zeke might start the season.
I don't think Zeke can start, but go ahead.
Okay, if he does, even better. Then the only competition is
Rico.
Dowdle. Yeah. And Dowdle's never proven himself.
You didn't even want to say Rico, did you? You just Rico. You went disrespectful. Didn't even want to say Rico.
All right, sleep on Rico.
Don't sleep on Freeman. Freeman had good weeks with the Rams last year.
Yeah.
Remember that small little stretch where we were like, we don't have Kyron, we don't have whoever his backup was, and we could put Freeman in there. He was doing okay.
Yeah.
All right, so don't sleep on him. With the Lions, Doreese Fountain. He's a receiver.
Like Tommy Davis is making up names.
I know. I'm just making them up, right?
Making up names.
So this
Who are these people?
This guy's been in the league for a couple years, actually. Like, I think this might even be his third year. But he's been getting a run with the first team Lions offense.
Okay.
Like he
what position does he play?
Receiver.
Okay.
He's competing with Raymond, in my opinion. And I think he has a good chance. Because one thing the coach did come out and say, and I think that Coach Speak account was the one that put it out there, but the Ben Johnson did come out and say he likes tall, long receivers.
Yeah.
And that's the pause.
That was
Super
crazy.
pause. But that's the total opposite
That was crazy.
of Khalif Raymond. That's the total opposite of him.
Yeah.
And again, he's getting first team reps. Chill, man. Chill. This is a family show.
Go on.
Oh, man.
Okay. So next up. Imari DiMercado. And for y'all that listen to us last season.
Are we still
he's the number 2's reps.
Where?
He's getting number 2 reps for the Cardinals.
Oh, no. This is actually a very, very important point because weren't there like some negative reports about Benson
I haven't heard any.
Okay, I need to go back and research that.
Now on the depth chart, Benson's number 2, but DeMarco's been getting reps with the number 1s and number 2. So
it's Michael Carter, man. I'm keep telling you,
Michael Carter may make the team.
Michael Carter's at number 2. Watch.
I think on the depth chart,
DeMarco is gonna get cut.
I think on the depth chart they put out he's 5th. No, Michael Carter. I think so.
All right.
Well, we can confirm that. All right, next up, right? Next up. And again, left field side. I gave y'all one. Steelers receiver. Who's opposite from Pickens?
Calvin Austin.
No, Van Jefferson.
No.
I know. Oh, I know. But don't say I didn't say it.
Yeah.
Van Jefferson. Okay.
And he plays for Arthur Smith.
Okay. Just put it out. Okay. Next up, Eagles rookie. He's beginning burn. Paris Campbell's hurt, so that put that caveat out there. But
and
in his place,
and he's
Paris Campbell. But in his place, the rookie from Florida State, Johnny Wilson, big body. People thought he could come into the league and play tight end. But he's getting a lot of run.
That's never a good thing, my boy.
I agree. But he's getting a lot of burn with the first team as the wide receiver 3. A lot. So putting that out there. All right, next up, Pierre Strong. Have we talked about Pierre Strong before?
I don't know why.
This. Go ahead.
What?
I'm in 100% agreement. I'm in 100% agreement.
Might be rolling.
Okay.
I'm in 100% agreement with this.
Okay. So Pierre Strong, running back for the Browns. Okay. Don't be surprised if he actually ends up being the guy.
People
Just
forget.
throwing that out there.
But look. Hey.
I dropped him in best ball. Yeah.
He is I think he's one of the best ball picks because people forget. Like, remember last year, Pierre Strong was a name when he was with the Patriots. People love Pierre Strong. They loved his,
and this is like his
profile.
3rd season.
They loved how athletic he was because he came from a small school, but just dominated.
I forgot what school he went to, like North Dakota State or something. One of those schools.
I have no like I don't mind getting Jerome Ford, but Jerome Ford is not a target for me.
Especially
because I
with
saw
Foreman,
what they did last year.
Especially with Foreman being hurt, by the way.
Yeah,
that's really one of the biggest part.
He's back.
He's back.
He's back. Yeah,
He's back.
It was precautionary.
South Dakota
He's back.
State.
South Dakota State. Is that what I said? Hell yeah. I was right. But I didn't know he was bad. I thought he was done. I was about to drop this dude in my fantasy dynasty league.
You may want to pick up Pierre Strong. Pierre Strong.
I already got him, though.
Look, just one last thing on him. I feel like he had a lot of great moments last year. Like, he looked really good, but he was a rookie too as well. And
he wasn't a rookie last year.
I'm sorry,
it was
second year.
But he got traded.
But he got
to
traded.
The Browns,
exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
I don't know if it was mid-season or early in the season.
Yeah.
So he didn't have a full training camp.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, next up, and we've said this guy before, but just to remind the audience, Juwan Johnson, I feel is like super sleeper.
Getting so many shares.
Go look at how he finished the season last year. Just look at that. He's hurt right now, and he got hurt this summer, and they said he would hopefully be back by week 1, which, again, I'm not saying he will be back by week 1, but what I am saying is he's coming back.
He's already back at training camp. Like, he's getting in some work. And remember, this is a new offense, okay? Kubiak is the new offensive coordinator. He's been known to use tight end. Where did Kubiak come
from, San Fran?
So he's been with Minnesota.
Okay.
And then he was with
I know he was with the Broncos at one point.
Yeah, and he was with San Francisco. So they know how to use. They know how to use. Okay,
so Juwan Johnson. Next name, and again, this might be a left field. Y'all might not even know who this player is. But Dante Miller /
no clue.
Turbo Miller.
No clue who that is.
Running back for the Giants. Undrafted cat.
So we bypassing Gray and Tracy?
Yes.
Well, what's his name again?
Dante Miller.
Dante Miller.
Yeah. Now I'll say this: he's a scat back, real small guy. You know, like
how small are we talking? Pause.
I don't know. I mean, a small guy. Like we talk like. Small.
Hey, there's no more Matt Breida.
Look, but he's super. I mean, they call him Turbo.
And Devin
super fast.
Yeah.
He's actually done a fair amount. He's got a few reps with the first team.
Is
this
he
guy rookie? So he came in like out the blue. Think of him like your Jaleel McLaughlin type player, maybe even a little faster. Like on some Keaton Mitchell type stuff.
I don't know. I'm really liking Tyrone Tracy.
No. I'm not knocking. Everybody knows Tyrone Tracy. So I mean, me bring his name up. It's not like I'm like breaking
I see what you're saying. I see what
news.
you're saying.
But be aware of this Miller guy, because if he makes the team and if he starts getting reps, he's the type of player where if they give him the opportunity, like if they lean on and trust him, he can do something.
Gotcha.
The question is, he has to climb a few steps to get there.
Yeah, but not high steps.
Exactly. Not extremely threatening.
5'9", 200 for a running back.
200 is not bad. I thought he was smaller than 200. That's not
5'9",
bad,
200,
actually.
compact.
Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah. But again, his nickname is Turbo. And he's been doing, like, he's a good pass catching back, too, by the way. Real good pass catching back. So, again, John, just be aware of that. Next name, Browns receiver, Cedric Tillman. I know we got Cooper. I know we got Judy. I know we got Elijah Moore. But Tillman's been getting work with the first team. He's going into his second season, so he's going to get that rookie to second year hopeful bump. Again, I don't believe in Watson, but if Watson is something, there might be opportunity there. Yeah. Cooper getting a little older. You never know. I'm just putting it out there because he's somebody.
Judy's people still waiting on Judy. People keep buying in, and I don't understand why. And then Elijah Moore. I mean, we had hopes for Elijah Moore, but he's never at any point really showed anything.
We're trying to let that dream go.
Yeah.
So
but this might be the time to draft Judy, though. But
maybe. And then my last name, and everybody should be aware of this guy, but I do want to put it on record. Justin Fields.
All right.
Let's not ignore what's happening right now. Because the more reps Fields gets with the first team, and the more they see, because remember, he's a dual threat quarterback. Yeah. So you go into this training camp, think you have Russell Wilson, you have a certain type of offense that you implemented. You get this Fields guy, if he can do the same offense, but then also add that running dimension to it where you can do a little bit more than what you can do with Wilson, that might be somebody the team decides, let's give him a chance, especially if they stick with Wilson and he struggles. Yeah. And then if Fields does get the job, remember what Fields is like as a starting quarterback. He could be a top 10 quarterback. And this is a guy you could take literally after like round 17, 18, if not pick him up for waiver. So that's my list of guys. So just want to kind of put that out there.
All right. Like there were some gems in there.
Just names, just write down.
All right.
Yeah. That was a long list. That was a show in itself.
It sure was.
We in a new house, man. Look, we in a new studio. You know what I'm saying? We got to bring. We ain't got my stool or whatever.
Got the Merlot going.
Yeah.
The Merlot.
So,
1999.
Again, draft this weekend.
Yes.
On our YouTube channel.
Yes.
Just our first. What is it? _15.
Yes. First and 15.
Twitter.
Yes.
No. It's on our YouTube. Sorry. What's our YouTube channel?
First and 15.
Yeah, first and 15. This Sunday. This Sunday at what time is the draft?
I don't know. It's like at 8 something.
8:30. 8 Eastern.
I don't know. Like I got it.
Okay, 8 Central maybe.
We'll put it out there, y'all. Yeah. It's coming.
Yeah. This
August
weekend.
11.
I got the first pick, so y'all tell me who to pick.
Yeah.
I'm most likely gonna take C-Mac, but if I shouldn't, please let me know. Talk me off the ledge.
Right.
Please take C-Mac.
Please take C-Mac. Please like, rate, subscribe. We're out, guys.